Where do you want me, Georgie?
Oh, I don't want you anywhere, man. You're going on that side because apparently that's your good side.
This is my good side, but it's not great.
I want you to look a little nicer. How is it you have 3 gray hairs and they're all on your shirt?
Hi, everybody.
Where did we first cross?
George,
paths?
first time we ever had conversations was at SNL.
Yeah, it was the baths is where we first crossed paths.
That was but we were quiet.
Bath.
We didn't say nothing
Nobody
to each other.
spoke.
We both ignored what was happening.
We weren't even really facing each other. And then, no, it was SNL. That's right.
SNL, you were hosting.
It was, Farley was there then.
Farley,
that's
Spade,
right.
Schneider, we all loved you. You came in, you were funnier than all of us.
We played basketball night, remember?
That was a Tuesday night. You were commanding the court. You played better than all of us.
That's
Farley was struggling to stay with you.
But he was a better basketball player than I thought.
Yes.
Than I thought was coming in. He was actually pretty good.
And that wasn't his sport. He was a football player.
And Kevin Nealon.
Yes.
Waste of height. That's what I'd like
but
to
he
say.
can put in a layup.
He can put a layup, but waste of height, really. Come on, he was a big boy, and
You know what? I saw some old footage. Kevin is on tour with me.
Oh, yes.
And he showed me some old footage of him. He was a college quarterback.
Oh, well, there you go.
And he was taking hits, and he showed me like 3 or 4 great passes, and then him getting taken down a big look.
It's like my guy, Joe Burrow, getting taken down every 5 minutes. So we met in New York. This is like 1996, I would say.
Yes,
Something
and then
like that.
I always remember you. It was Lorne. You and me got to go to a Knicks game together.
That's right.
We sat. We watched the game. Everybody was staring at you. There was you at that time, Clooney was.
I was very famous then.
Quite famous.
Sure.
It was the start of the
and it's been a
it's been
like
a decline,
that decline since.
But I
then.
stayed watching you as you sailed.
As I floated away. I remember I was nervous about hosting the show because I'd never done Saturday Night Live before, and I got there the week before, and I wanted to see the Saturday night before. And the host was Deion Sanders, and he was also his own musical guest.
That's right.
So he sang like "Must Be the Money,"
That's right.
and he hosted.
I remember
and
that
I
too.
told Lauren that I was nervous.
Yeah.
And he said, "You'll be all right." And I was like, "I'm nervous about doing this." So I'm watching that show, and Deion singing "Must Be the Money."
Yeah.
And I walked up behind him as I was watching him, Lauren standing like that watching, and I said, "I'll be fine."
I remember both those shows, buddy, and I remember you were very calm. Your monologue was calm. That's
I was
not an
nervous.
easy thing, though.
Now thank you. I've done, that's my mother. What actors, when they go on the show, don't understand is that because you have to build sets for the routines, and you work on more routines than you actually air. So you probably have 9 bits, and maybe you're going to use 7, so they got to build these sets, and you're kind of throwing these pieces out. They don't worry about the opening monologue at all because they don't have to build a set.
Last minute, yeah.
And so, but the only thing the actors who are coming on the show care about is the opening monologue, because that's what you get judged by. And so you're sitting there just panicked about like, well, what about this?
That's that's why you see stand-up comedians who host a show are the most confident at that spot.
Yeah.
They're like, I got my 8-minute chunk. I'm gonna go kill. And then
when was the last time you hosted?
I only hosted one time, maybe 5 years ago.
Only once?
Only once. It's scary. It's scary.
Do you think that they're just mad at you and
They're
don't like
disgusted with me? No, they're always nice to me. I just I had little bits I would do throughout the years, like a weekend update or maybe a little part in a skit. But the only time I hosted was once, and it is before they introduce you and you're backstage and you're alone, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan, you are losing it, right?
Yeah. Is it different hosting than it was being a regular on the show?
100%. I didn't want to. I liked being on the show and maybe being in 2 skits maximum, and that when you're in every skit, your head is spinning and you get confused.
Well, there was also a funny thing that was happening was that at least at this point, kind of a lot of those skits would turn out to be movies. A couple of the skits you do. So when you get there on, I guess it's Monday.
Monday.
For the table reading, they start reading skits, and each of them were like trying to retrofit a skit that they thought might become
That's
a
true.
movie
That's true.
onto the actor. So there was a lot of like trying to figure out what you were best at doing for the host, to host. So it was really...
What was your best skit that night? Do you remember?
I actually don't remember. The one I loved was we did one with Farley where we were at SeaWorld and we all just kept getting blasted with water.
Yes, that was
just because he's so funny and
yes.
he was so like, oh,
that's right. And I remember somebody was standing with a bucket.
They were just there with a bucket.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hitting him with water. So when you started out,
yes,
did you start out as a stand-up?
The goal was just to be an actor, but I think, yes, my first move was when I was very young, 17, I started stand-up.
And how what's that mean? How do you do that?
It was my brother was going to Boston University, and he told me about a stand-up club.
Like an open mic night?
Open mic night, and he got me a
fantastic.
number when I was a senior in high school, and went to town and did it, and didn't do well, but I got excited about it.
Before that, were you considering being an actor? Was that a thought or not?
It wasn't really a thought until college applications, and it kept saying major, and I would say to my brother, "What should I major?" He goes, "You should be an actor." That was kind of how that
really.
happened. Yes.
And is that what you applied for?
I wrote actor. I applied to NYU, Carnegie Mellon, and like 4 other schools.
And you got into a community college somewhere.
I got into some. I didn't get into anything, but I went anyways. No, NYU for some reason I got in there, and it was kind of before NYU was the great school.
Yeah.
Now it's like so hard to get into, but I think I just got snuck in.
They felt sorry for you.
They felt bad. They like never heard a guy with that much of a unsure quality. My first television gig was Showtime at the Apollo.
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
that wasn't an acting gig, was it?
That was a stand-up.
Oh, yeah,
I was 18, got on there, and that was a big deal. They gave me a limousine to get there.
I would like to see. Can you?
It was kind of rough. I think if you look it up, you'll see that it's a little wasn't
rough.
My smoothest quite yet. How about you?
But I mean, I want to finish this for a second because the difference between being an actor and being a stand-up is night and day, right? The both of them risk humiliation, right? That's why.
True.
That's why people don't really do it, and it's hard to succeed. Is because, you'd rather jump out of a foxhole than be humiliated.
Yes.
But the risk I always think of it as like actors, and then singers, and then stand-up comedians. Because with an actor, you do a job, and maybe they react, maybe they don't. If it's theater. If it's a movie, you don't even see it for a year.
Yeah.
As a singer, you get a reaction pretty quickly, obviously, if you're in an audience.
That's true.
But as a stand-up, there's only one way this works, right? Either they laugh, or they don't. Either you win or you lose. There is no...
Less blame and less ability to blame others.
Yes, and you also have to be like, well, I was going for a dramatic turn in
That's
this.
True. That's true.
And so it seems to me, that one to me always takes more balls in a way.
I think the only thing I had going for me back then was how young I was, and I didn't even understand when I did badly.
Oh, right.
I didn't even get it. I was just like, I think something was wrong with the audience that night. I did not ever take full...
Did you blame the audience?
I blame the audience.
Yeah.
The last person I blamed was myself.
Sure. Well, that should be the regular. That's how I, in general.
That's how we live now.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe in that because I think I think blame anyone but yourself in general. That's how to survive a marriage.
Yes.
Blame anyone but yourself, right?
How about you, George? Your first gig, first audition, first kind of thing?
First audition. I mean, it was a very weird thing because I was a kid in Kentucky, and I had an aunt who was well known, Rosemary Clooney, and she had a couple of kids who were actors, particularly her oldest son, Miguel Ferrer, Jose Ferrer's kid. But I'd never met Jose Ferrer, who was an Oscar winner.
Wow.
And my Aunt Rosemary had come to Kentucky 3 or 4 times, so I only knew her a little bit. And they were the sort of Hollywood family that I was always very jealous of. I felt like they were living such a glamorous
life. Of course. She was buddies with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
She was
Frank.
superstar.
There's tons of things with her, singing with Frank and Tony Bennett. And my dad was an anchorman. And before that, he had a talk show called The Nick Clooney Show in Cincinnati, Ohio, little market.
Yeah.
And it was a low-budget place. And so in the summers, I would go and I'd be a I'd be a first AD. I'd like cue the cameras and stuff for my dad at
That's
11
cool.
years old.
That's nice.
And I would, even earlier than that, I would play, it was live television. And so they'd do commercials on live TV. So it would be for Husband's potato chips or things like that. And I would end up having to do, like if it was Easter, they had an Easter bunny outfit. I was like 9 years old, and my dad would put me in the Easter bunny outfit.
Really?
And he would interview me. So it's a big day, Easter bunny, isn't it? And I'd always have a cigar, and I go, yeah, it's a big day for me. And, and then it was
pretty cool, man.
St. Patrick's Day, and I'm in a leprechaun outfit at 10.
And you played it as a straight kind of
with a cigar.
no accent.
Well, no, I had to, like St. Patrick's Day, I do that bad,
bad
Lucky
Irish.
Charms.
Right.
You know what to teach it, and that'll come back to haunt me. But it wasn't acting. It was just, being a kid and playing. And really how I was making my money from the time I was about 13 till 18 was cutting tobacco. That's how you got paid. It was like for $3 an hour. And then Miguel, my first cousin, came to Kentucky to do a horse racing movie. And I was walking horses at River Downs, which was a kind of an old beat up racetrack near Cincinnati. And they were going to go down to Keelan, which is a beautiful one in Lexington, and to shoot.
They were going to shoot.
And he got me a part as an extra.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm on a set, and it was exciting and fun.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "You got to come to California, be an actor." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, exactly.
I got in my beat up, Monte Carlo with rust all over it, and I drove to California.
Was it the next day that you did that?
I remember walking in to tell my mom and dad that I was leaving college and I was going to go to, I was going to go to California to be an actor, and my dad was like, "You're an idiot."
And he was pissed.
Oh, he was pissed.
Right, yeah.
Because he wanted me to get an education, and he wanted me to, he also knew how hard it was. And he kept saying,
yes.
I remember one point he said, "I don't think you have the smarts to be an actor." And now you realize that's really not a prerequisite. And then I drove out there. And I stayed with Rosemary for a couple of months, and then she kicked me out. And then I slept on the floor of a closet, a buddy of mine, and rode a bicycle to auditions for about 2 years.
Love that.
And then started to get some work. And the first movie I got, we talked about, was this thing called Grizzly 2 in Budapest with Laura Dern.
Yeah, that's right.
She was 15.
That's right. And
I was 20. And Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other actors, And the movie never came out because it was really, it ended up being a scam. It's these Hungarian dudes, and they were just, and we went to Hungary while it was still a communist country.
Wow.
And then it ran out of money, and they couldn't fly us home. So Charlie and Laura and I were stuck in Budapest for like 2 months, like doing nothing.
Sure, man.
And then we finally got home. And when we got home, Charlie got Platoon.
Yeah.
And Laura was doing Mask and all these, she was doing all these cool, and I got The Facts of Life.
Wow.
And,
That's still a huge,
I was thrilled. I was thrilled, to have
that show was massive.
Yeah, it was a big hit. That show had been running a long time at that point. Now it just came on as the
Did you go out with somebody in it?
No, not really. I think people think I did, but I was just the next door neighbor.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It was they kind of spun.
You were a little older than the girls on?
A couple years older. They spun. I was like 22.
Gotcha.
They spun me off. Not really spun me off, but it was Embassy Television. It was owned by Norman Lear. And I was doing a sitcom called ER. A sitcom 10 years earlier with Elliot Gould and Lynn Moody and Conchata Ferrell.
I love music, Ace, but I don't listen to it when I'm supposed to be doing other things.
You're too hard on yourself, Doc.
And the show got canceled after a year, and then I went on to The Facts of Life.
That's so crazy. But I do remember back then when you got something, it was forever. Your connection, you loved everybody on the show. They became such good friends of yours. I remember people asking me, "How much money do you get?" And I'd be like, "I don't even know. I didn't care. I was just like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this." That was so exciting.
That was one of those most amazing things, was because you would do it and had done it for free.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden somebody gives you a check for $1,200.
Oh, that was...
And you're like,
you couldn't believe.
Oh my God!
I did a commercial when I was young.
Oh, those were very big.
Holy cow! Was that?
That was a whole different thing because they went in 13-week intervals, if you remember.
Oh yes.
So you do a commercial.
They're renewing it,
and they renew it.
Yeah,
and if they renewed it, you get. I actually went in. I went in. I was so bad at auditioning for commercials. I was
right. Yeah, me
bad.
too. Me too.
And I went in for a Doritos commercial, and the casting director, when you read the breakdown, it said, "This guy's young and hip and funny, like Ace on ER, on the sitcom ER." I was Ace on the sitcom ER.
Wow.
And I went in to read, and the guy goes, "Okay, this guy's like young and hip. He's like Ace on ER," and I was like, "I'm Ace on ER," and he's like, "Okay, go with that, guys." And I auditioned, and I didn't get it. I couldn't even get myself.
That's amazing.
That's how bad I was at the audition.
You would choke. I was a choker too, man.
Were you?
I would choke right when I walked into the waiting area, and like in our movie, and saw the other guys auditioning.
Oh, yeah.
And they looked a little like we all kind of had a similar vibe, but. They had more confidence. I just failed right when I saw everyone else. I was like, "Oh shit, they're better than me, man."
There's also that moment where, when you test for a pilot, because a pilot's where you can make some real money.
Yeah,
because that's a pilot to be a regular in a series.
Uh-huh.
And you show up at the audition, and there's 5 other guys testing.
Yes.
And the first thing they do is they put a contract in front of you.
Oh,
Let's say you're going to make $7,000 a week on the show.
Yeah.
But the contract will be for $35,000 for the pilot, right?
That's right.
And it's sitting there, and you have to sign it. You have to make the deal before you go in and test.
Wow.
And there's 5 other guys who signed that same piece of paper.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, this is, you're so close.
Life-changing.
It's life-changing money. And, 99 times out of 100, you don't get it.
Oh, yeah, man. I got a pilot one time. I didn't even know what it meant. I was on a pilot. It was called The Marshall Chronicles.
Oh, I remember The Marshall Chronicles.
Sure. Yeah.
Excuse me, is this SAT review class? Yeah. Do I sit anywhere, or what am I, an usher?
And it was. I remember Joe Bologna's son was on it, and I got it. Told all my friends I'm on a TV show, and I didn't understand what a pilot meant. I didn't know about things getting picked up, and I just remember every time I go home, they'd be like, "When's that? When are we going to see that?" I'd be like, "I don't know, but it's on. I did it." They're like, "You sure you did it?" I was like, 100%, man.
There's some website now that'll show pilots that didn't get picked up.
Oh, I see.
Because I did 13 pilots.
You did?
Yeah, I did pilot after pilot.
So you were good. You got good at auditioning.
Later on, I got better at auditioning.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened? I'll tell you a funny thing. I was bad at auditioning, and fear would be my reason. I get in, my chest would tighten.
Same thing, yes.
And I wasn't getting anything. And then I kind of went back to, I said, if you boil everything down, I'm a jock. I'm an athlete. Mm-hmm. And I needed to think of it as like an athlete. Because when I first started playing baseball, you get up the plate and you'd be like, I just want to hit the ball. I just want to touch the ball. Don't make me look like an ass. Mm-hmm. And then after a year or two of getting a little more skill and a lot more confidence, then you'd be like, do I want to go to left field? Do I want to go to right field?
Do I
hit that way? Do I want to pull it? And most of that, a little bit of skill, but a lot of it was confidence.
That's right.
And so I had to readjust the way I thought of auditioning like an athlete.
That's great.
And just go, okay, now it's not, I hope they like me or I hope I'm going to get the job. It's just going to be like, they'd be lucky if they had me.
That's amazing.
And it changed everything for me because
that's
people,
not easy to do, man.
Well, because you start to realize that now that I've directed a bunch of films, every time an actor comes in, you're praying they're there to answer your question. You can go home.
That's true.
But when you're an actor walking in, you're just like,
I'm going to fail,
man. They're going to hate me.
Yes. Yeah. That same thing with stand-up was the confidence. If I went on stage and I went, these are good jokes, I'm going to say, the crowd is there to have a good time, let me do it with them. Yeah. And then it went well. When I walked in with these people going to not like me, they owned me immediately. They saw that in your eyes, and then you had a bad night.
Really? Because, I remember seeing certain stand-ups when I was really young.
Yeah.
And there would be a couple that could come out and just stand there.
Unbelievable.
And you're laughing.
Yes.
It's like you're ahead of them.
Of course.
And you're in on their inside joke. And that was, I remember thinking that must be the greatest feeling in the world.
Yes. Especially for a comedian, when you get hired, you have to do a certain amount of time. And a guy who can just get on stage, or a woman who can get on stage and do nothing and kill, not only are they killing, but the time's taken away. They feel so happy. They're like, all right, that was 4 minutes. I didn't say a thing.
Oh, so you have to eat up a certain amount of time.
If you get booked for either 20, 45, an hour, that's on really? The people who booked you. They are thinking about that.
The first time you worked with Noah was on what?
Meyerowitz. I met Noah years ago, and I loved his movies. You know, I saw The Squid and the Whale, and I was blown away by that one.
Was that the first movie you saw of his?
I think so.
It was for me.
It was, right? Yeah. Kicking and Screaming, I remember.
Francis Ha later.
Yeah. His stuff was ridiculous. I loved it. And all the stuff Stiller did with him. One day, Stiller, like 5 years ago, said, let's get lunch. And so the three of us sat down, and then Noah wrote Meyerowitz, and then he did a few others in between. He kept it going, and then he called me about doing this one with you, and sent it to me, and I got excited.
That was funny when we were doing Jay Kelly. There's a scene where you and I and Giovanni have to run about like 300 yards, more than 200 yards.
Yeah,
full tilt across the field.
You started us off by going too fast every time.
Well, but the silly part was, he goes, I need you to go fast. I'm like, okay. So we start running, and because Noah's a guy who really does do like 30 takes. After like 10 of those running, I was like, no, I'm 64 years old.
That's
I can't run full tilt.
All of us. Giovanni went down hard. Take one.
Take one. Yeah,
he went down and then had to run a few more times after with a slight limp.
And then finally he came to me and he said, now I'm tired now, it's take 12, and I'm like, I'm beat. And he's like, I said, what are you not getting? What do you need? And he goes, I need you to run faster. And I was like, okay. And the shot was like this high on me.
That's funny.
And so I'm run as fast as I can,
Yeah.
And so all I did was I just started pumping my arms faster. So I just started going like this with my arms faster. And I came back and goes, that was so much faster. I was like, yeah. My legs are still like.
Yeah, we were sore the next day, if I remember.
Yeah, a little bit.
That was a good one. That was when me and you were sitting between takes and on the railroad tracks and whipping rocks.
Throwing rocks.
What were we trying to hit?
I think this is a guy thing.
Yeah.
That like, anytime you can throw rocks at an object, like we'd set a can up.
Yes.
And then we just start chucking it.
That was exciting. That was more exciting.
Oh, do you know what we were doing?
Yeah.
We were throwing things in the air.
Oh, that's right.
To pick them out of the air.
That's right. Somebody would throw a rock up high and try to hit the other rock.
That actually was a skill.
That was
I thought
good.
we were doing. But we also had basketball almost every day.
Yes, we shot around right in front of our two trailers. We played hoop. We enjoyed a baseball catch here and there.
There was a little baseball catch with even Noah's kid.
I haven't played baseball in a while. That was my favorite sport growing up, and us having a catch was tremendous. You brought 2 gloves. You hooked that up for us.
It's funny. So I just did the speaking gig in Cincinnati, Ohio, and back in the day, I had a couple of tryouts for the Cincinnati Reds, and so I was in Cincinnati 3 weeks ago. And the owner of the Reds was there. And he came out. And first he comes out and he found my 1978 scouting report. Which is the funniest thing you've ever heard. It was like, it said,
fast.
He's a decent fielder. He's got decent speed. He's got a shit arm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But you had
a
good arm.
I mean, at that point, you're not throwing like you did later.
But you have a gun on you, and I do, and you're fast.
But compared to those guys, I wasn't. Oh, yeah. But I thought I was. I thought I was.
Right.
I had a hat. I thought I looked the part. But then he goes, and then he stands up and he says, but since you didn't make it, and he gave me a 1-day contract with the Reds.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
And then we got into the playoffs for the first time. So I feel as if perhaps
you did it for all of Ohio.
Perhaps I may have really
for Chrissy Hind. You did it for the Pretenders.
I did for the Pretenders.
Yeah,
that's true. What else can we talk about? Do
you remember when you got your baseball hat growing up? My father used to say, stay with the flat brim. And I'd say, but no, you got to bend it.
No, you bend it. You bend it. I would fold mine over.
Yes.
Put like a crease in the top even.
Yeah.
And sometimes you put little creases on the side.
On the side, kind of like rounded.
It kind of hooked you in.
Yes.
Kept the sun out of your eye.
I thought I was looking good. My father always said, what are you doing to your hat, man? You're
Really?
ruining your hat. Keep it flat.
Oh, no.
He'd say, like, the old Brooklyn Dodgers used to keep it flat, so he'd get mad at me for that one.
Really? Yeah. Well, it was funny because when I was growing up, the worst thing you could have is like clean, white, brand new tennis shoes.
Oh, that's right.
So the minute you got them, you take them out and rub them in the dirt.
And your mother would yell at you. Yeah.
And nowadays, it's just the opposite.
And we're cutting there. You guys
Oh.
nailed this so hard.
Good.
You did nothing.
That was nice, George.
Maybe our best thing we've ever done in our life.
Better than the movie.
Oh, maybe even better than like even saving people's, like the woman you pulled out of the bus that was on fire.
Yeah.
This is better than that.
Thank you.